Before I begin tonight, I just want to thank some people who have made a major impact in my life. You don't need to stand, but I think you should be recognized. First of all, my brother Bill. I am grateful to the Lord that he came into my life as not only a sibling, but a best friend, and I love him dearly. And Billy, thank you for the way that you've looked out for me and encouraged me and used your shoulder for me to cry on over the years. I love you very much. The next person that I would like to thank is my Aunt Donna. She's a full-time nurse at Children's Hospital, and she was with my mom through a lot of my medical appointments and helped me through it all. Also, my mom, who had me, who quit her art teaching job so she could be a stay-at-home mom and take care of me. Mom, thank you very much for the godly woman that you are. I hope to continue to follow in your footsteps. I love you very much. And Daddy, thanks for being the father figure that you are in my life. You are a godly man of God, and thank you for being here. And you and Mom have raised me and my brother very well, so we're grateful to the Lord for that. Also, my cousin Lauren, who is here from Mount Lebanon, I thank her too, because not only is she my cousin, but she's also my best friend. We've been through a lot together. So without further ado, let me begin. Let me see if I can. Okay. But most of all, the glory is given to God. So I just want to make sure that I didn't forget that. Put this up here. Okay. We're rocking already. Thank you so very much, Aaron, Liz, Kathleen, and Tonya, for being a part of my life and for speaking with me tonight. I love you guys. And thanks to all of you for being here to hear us speak. Geneva has been a very important part of my life, an important part of God's story in my life. And I will talk about that a little bit later. Now I would like to tell you some of that story. Most of you know I have a disability, but thanks for treating me differently. But you might not know that it is called Williams syndrome. And hey, you might wonder what Williams syndrome is all about. Williams syndrome is an idiopathic syndrome. I know that's a very big word, but it means it has no non-cause. It is present at birth. Actually, it has happened in utero already. There's a lasting gene deletion on chromosome number 7. Anything that stretches in your body is affected, as I don't have as much elastin as others do, like your lungs, your vessels, etc. Most of us have a heart problem. I have been diagnosed with supravalvular aortic stenosis for the past 32 years, as many do with Williams syndrome. Many kids have had to have open heart surgery, but I have not had to. Just this past year, cardiac MRI was done, and they told me that my heart now looks normal. No one honestly understands how that happened, but we are grateful. Williams syndrome affects both the male and female population, and I would have a 50% chance of having a child with Williams syndrome, so a lot of us choose not to have children. Having Williams syndrome can be a good thing and a bad thing. The good things. We are very social and empathetic people. True that. We really like people. And if someone is having a bad day, like, hint, hint, wink, wink, somebody at Geneva College, for instance, we can pick right up on it and see if we can help. I like to encourage people. When people with Williams syndrome meet a person for the very first time, we want to become friends with them automatically. In fact, many people with Williams syndrome will think no one is a stranger. That could be a little bit scary if people take advantage of them. Unfortunately, the majority of people with Williams syndrome don't have actual friends, but rather acquaintances, since they cannot seem to maintain friendships beyond the surface. I've been very blessed that I've had many friends, quote, normal people, and I've maintained some of those friendships for over the past 30 years. My one friend, who is an OBGYN in Charleston, South Carolina, calls me frequently, and I visited her at college and at med school. I am now the godmother of her first child. I've been in about 5 or more weddings, maid of honor twice, not relatives, but not yet a bride. But hey, I'm very blessed. Another good thing, we have great imagination skills and good word usage, pardon me there. If you ask me to name some animals, I wouldn't just say dog or cat, but rather Siamese cat, dingoes, marsupials, wombats, odd-tongued ungulates. That is the classification for giraffes and goats. Well, you get the idea. I also have a good ear for languages. I used to greet people at the Old Navy. I worked there for about 7 years. And if somebody came up to me in Spanish, I would start speaking to them in Spanish. If they were Japanese, I'd start speaking to them in Japanese. And so on and so forth. I recently learned some Mandarin, and people say that I have no American accent when I speak a foreign language. Okay. Long-term memory. We can remember things that happened a long time ago in great detail. I can remember people's faces, their names, what they looked like, what they wore, what we talked about, and what they ate, and so on and so forth. Once again, even if I had seen them quite a while ago, but my mom says I don't remember to clean my room now. Wow. Music skills. Many of us have musical skills, and I hope to show you some singing that I did a couple of years ago. I sing in my praise team at church and play piano by ear. I don't read music, but I sing by hearing it once in praise team. And now we're on to some bad things. Because Williams syndrome involves a lot of medical issues, we spend a lot of time in the hospital. And for me, it was the worst of my first 5 years of living. 75 ear infections, hospitalized for seizures, 4 eye surgeries, cardiology every month at Children's Hospital, and lots of poking and prodding. I was finally diagnosed at age 3 by a dysmorphologist from San Diego, California, and this is a specialty area of genetics. I had occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy for about 15 years of my life. We are also born with less elastin than normal people. Lots of people with Williams syndrome have large dental problems. I am very blessed because I haven't had too many dental problems. I have only one cavity, which is a good thing. Lots of people with Williams syndrome have cavities, crowns, caps, fillings, etc. I had to have my wisdom teeth taken out at Children's Hospital at the age of 23 because my dentist told me he could not knock me all the way out. And most of their teeth are out of place, so braces are required. I had braces for 6 years. Hyperacusis. That means sensitivity to hearing things. Loud sounds really bother me. Fireworks, air horns, guns, balloons popping, sirens, etc. It actually hurts my ears to hear these sounds because it causes not only excruciating pain inside of my ear, but it also, the sound of it stays inside of my ear for a while. My ear canal is shaped differently on the inside. Difficulty in school. I've been blessed that I was able to finish high school and attend 2 years at Geneva. But that is not true for many of my Williams syndrome friends. I could not do math very well, and I can only do elementary level math. School was generally hard for me, and I worked extra hard to stay in a regular classroom. Many kids with Williams syndrome are put in a special education classroom. The hardest part of school was how sometimes people labeled me and treated me. I was called retarded and other derogatory names. This happened mostly in junior high and sometimes will happen when I'm out in the general public. I might get laughed at or mocked. My feelings are really hurt by that. And I felt isolated and excluded. And life is already hard if you have a disability. Okay, I'm going to try to say this without choking up because solo de gloria, to God be the glory for all of the things I went through and for being here with you today. I think most of you think of me as Betsy and hopefully don't think, oh, there's someone with a disability. I've been really well respected and loved for the most part here at Geneva, and I am grateful. And to you seniors out there, I hope that as you leave here and go to other places, you will remember to treat people with disabilities as you have treated me and see them as a whole person created in God's image with hopes and goals and dreams just like you have. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Schwarzenberg. I'm a senior here at Geneva. I met Betsy nearly 4 years ago now. We met through when I first started attending church at First Presbyterian of Beaver. And I remember the first few conversations I had with Betsy, probably similar to the first few you guys had with her. It was about yodeling and other crazy trips she's been on, and I don't think I said an entire word that conversation because she was just cracking me up. She used the word flabbergasted in a real sentence, which is probably the first time I've ever heard someone do that, which was pretty funny. And like many of you, based on my first impressions of her, I knew she was different, but I didn't know how because she had such a robust vocabulary and great social skills. I didn't really know what was different about her. My friendship developed a little differently than probably many of you. I met her mainly outside the Geneva community through church, even though we do interact quite a bit on campus. But we mainly got to know each other through church lunches, and we used to have weekly church dinners in Alex's, and that's where I started just having conversations with her. I was always encouraged by Betsy and her positive attitude. She was always so joyful and smiling, and that was really encouraging to me. Betsy and I have done other fun things throughout our years of getting to know each other. We go to Mario's for pizza sometimes. We get coffee at Starbucks. We would go to football games. Sometimes she'd come over to my apartment and show me funny videos of animals sneezing or of a boy getting his wisdom teeth out. Like, it was pretty funny. But through all those times that we've hung out, we would flip-flop between more serious conversations and lighthearted moments, both of which were just as much appreciated. One year, we roomed together at Jubilee, which is a Christian conference down in Pittsburgh, and that was cool, really getting to know each other outside of her home and community around here in Beaver. And I was just blown away by the relationship she developed with people. She would go to Jubilee. She's been going for years now, and just the way she would pick up friendships with people she had met there before was mind-blowing to me. She wouldn't see these people but once a year, but she always seemed to pick up these conversations like they've never left, just because she's really intentional about keeping up relationships with people. Another thing that I always found encouraging about Betsy, one day I was walking past her to go to class, and I wasn't even talking to her, she was talking to someone else, but I heard her say, "There's no way I'd rather have my life than how I have it right now." And I knew at that time she had been going to the doctors a lot for different things, and it was just so encouraging to me to hear that attitude she had, and I found it so encouraging, so I went home and wrote it on a sticky note, and I read it quite often. And just her attitude is so inspiring to me, and her faith in God is incredible, and I just hope one day I can have a fraction of the same faith and encouragement she has, even despite the hardships she goes through. She's an inspiring young woman, and I'm so blessed in the role she plays in my life, and I'm so thankful for her. So, yeah.
Hello, my name is Tonya Gillette. I recently graduated from Geneva College, and for those of you who saw the flyer that advertised this, I wasn't pictured, but I promise I am supposed to be speaking tonight. Even though as a teacher I spend most of my day in front of people, usually the people that I'm speaking to are under the age of 10, so I'm a little nervous right now, sorry about that. I've had the opportunity to live with Betsy for about a year now. From day one, it has been an adventure. We'd been hanging out in Bifcat, and Betsy loves discussing people's heritages. And since my name is Russian, naturally we soon progressed into pretending that we were Russian spies, slipping into thick Russian accents in the middle of a coffee house. Betsy's accent was pretty legit, and mine was, let's just say that I'm not Russian. The really cool thing about this experience is the way that she and I have grown from one another. There are things that Betsy blesses me with, such as meeting so many new people. And I would honestly be shocked to hear if there was a single person in Beaver County that Betsy did not already know. She's even introduced me to the animal friends that are in the neighborhood. Betsy also has an incredible imagination, one that cannot help but draw others in. She's taken me on countless secret missions, sometimes even including hiding a package of kibasi in our roommate's bed. Sorry, Liz, and it's a long story. I've also met her pet lamb, Wiki, that has a hidden life all of its own. On the other hand, I hope that I can say that Betsy has grown through my influence as well. As a person, for me, who finds joy in seeing cereal boxes lined up in the proper height order and who organizes clothing by color, it was an adjustment for me when organization for Betsy meant that things were at least in the correct room in the house. Time also has a different meaning for Betsy. At 10 o'clock at night, she would say, "Hey, I think I'm going to start a few loads of laundry." For Bets, leaving the house at 8 might mean starting to get ready at 8. But reminders and schedules and routines have been very helpful with this. Through each new learning curve, whatever it may be, I have grown increasingly thankful for the life experiences and the friendship that I have with Betsy. She's a daily reminder to me what living for the kingdom of God looks like in daily life. Embracing one another as brothers and sisters in Christ, regardless of our differences, and loving them for the time that we have them. So for that and for so many other things, Betsy, I'm just so thankful, and I'm proud to call you not only my roommate, but also a friend. Thank you.
Hello, I am Liz Schwarzenberg, and I'm Betsy's third roommate. I started hearing about Betsy about my junior year of high school, which is when Kathleen started coming to Geneva. And it was through their friendship that I got to know Betsy, and now I'm living with them. Well, since living with Betsy, I now understand how critical it is for us to communicate time with each other. Betsy and I learned pretty early on in the semester what miscommunication can lead to. See, I was taking her to work after my class one day, but before we left, Betsy needed to have clothes packed and everything ready to go to spend the weekend with her parents. So I walked in the door, and we had about an hour and 15 minutes before we needed to leave. I asked Betsy if she was ready, and together we went through a mental checklist of things that needed to be done. And Betsy was spot on. She had everything packed, everything ready to go, and we're just like, great, so we can relax for this hour and 15 minutes before leaving. So some time passed, and we were just chilling and relaxing, and about this time we needed to leave in like half an hour. So since we were on a roll and ahead of things, I'm like, hey Bets, like, why don't you bring down your stuff from downstairs so we don't have to do it later, like right before we leave. Her response scared the life out of me. She said, sure thing, I'm going to shower and get ready first, though. Half an hour before we needed to leave. So the next half an hour was crazy and hectic, and definitely not relaxing like the first hour or so. But we worked together, and Betsy made it to work only 5 minutes late. It took a lot of patience for me not to be upset at Betsy, but more so at myself. And it was a simple miscommunication. And Betsy could tell that I was slightly stressed and concerned that she did something wrong. But it was amazing to see my desires go from, I really want to be upset right now, because we were running so late and we were getting so stressed, change to like, wow, I need to encourage Betsy and let her know that she's not in trouble and that I will not and am not upset with her. Living with Betsy has been an amazing experience, and it's been a time of learning patience, kindness, cooperation, and that in the end, one way or another, things will work out, even if it's not the perfect way that we expected it to.
Claustrophobic. So my name is Aaron Channing. I'm not one of Betsy's roommates. Don't worry, not like that. No. And I just want to say I'm so blessed to be here because I swear Betsy's got like 1,000 people rolling deep in her entourage. I swear she could have her own TV show. It's amazing how many people she knows and how many people love her. And just to say that I'm one of her close friends that's got the ability to come up here and talk about what an impact she's done in my life, that's a blessing for me. So when I was asked to talk about Betsy, I tried to think about what I was supposed to say in a short time, because I could sit up here for days and tell you about how she used to wear my jersey to every football game last year, the countless number of lunch dates we used to have, laughing, crying, having deep conversations, being clowns, rapping together. There's so many things, but I thought of two things. There's 2 pointers that if Betsy was in my shoes, what she'd want you guys to know about her, and different pointers about her and her disease. One, say hi to strangers. Now that sounds a little cliche, but it's personal to me. It's very personal. And because the majority of you guys in this room, the way you met Betsy, is because she went out of her way in that cafeteria to come up and say hi to you. And it's personal to me because when I was here, when I transferred here for my first week, and I didn't know anybody, and I'm telling you I was depressed, that girl came up to me and she said hi to me and she changed my life. because not only is she my best friend, but I have my second family through her. So it's personal to me that you need to say hi to random people, to strangers at all times, because you could change their life. I mean that. Just like she changed mine, she changed all of yours. Second point would be, don't judge a book by its cover. Again, that's cliche. But society teaches us all the time that you can just naturally label people. It's out of our control. That's just the way society has taught us. We can see someone dressed a certain way, and boom, that's how we think about someone. Or we see someone with a disability. Boom, they're not like us. They're not as good as us. The golden rule in the Bible, and everyone knows what that is. The golden rule says, love your neighbors as yourself. I've never met someone who truly loves their neighbors as themselves, like Betsy James. I've never met someone that treats other people the way she would like to be treated, like Betsy James. So you can go ahead and say that people with disabilities aren't like you. Yeah, you're right, because Betsy's better than me. I know that. Betsy, you're an amazing person. And I want you guys to take whatever I just said, whatever all of us said about Williams syndrome and about Betsy James' life. I want you to remember those two things. Say hi to random strangers. Don't judge a book by its cover. So, thank you.
Well, I think it's because back then it was so rare. And like when I went to Children's Hospital, like my one doctor who is actually the head of diagnostics at Children's Hospital, Basil Zatelli, would have people that were like medical students, and I would say, do you happen to know that I have the disability? And they would say, no. What is it called? And I'm like, it's called Williams syndrome. And they're like, wow, we've never really heard of that before. I'm going to have to look this up in my medical dictionary and understand it more. Thank you for telling me that. And Basil would point out different things like my facial features and just all that stuff. And I think it's also because Down syndrome is more common. A lot of more people know Down syndrome really a whole heck of a lot because it's everywhere and people have it all over the world. It's not just here in the States. I actually have diagnosed somebody with Williams syndrome at a restaurant, and he was 50 years old. And his parents didn't know he had it. And I knew he had it just by looking at him with his dysmorphological facial features. And I would say with my mom, like, that guy has Williams syndrome over there. And she's like, no, Elizabeth, no, he doesn't. Continue eating. I'm like, but Mom, we gotta talk to his parents. Well, one of the parents had a glass eye. That's what I remember. And I asked all these questions, and I said, excuse me, does your son happen to have supranuclear aortic stenosis? And they said yes. I said, does he happen to have hyperacusis? They said yes. I said, does he happen to have small dental enameling? They said yes. They said, your son has Williams syndrome. And so the parents looked at me like, oh my goodness, we have been to every single military base, and none of the doctors on every single military base that we've been to, they didn't know what was wrong with our son at all. And you knew. We didn't hear from them after that. I think that's one of the reasons why, because it's so rare.